Hey creative friends, I'm Robin Randolph and I want to welcome you to Art for Healing and Joy. Okay, super excited to get started with my new gel pad and my gel press, which I just got today. So I wanted to get the 8 by 10 size. And I removed the piece of plastic that was on either side. And then I'm just using an old cutting board that I use just for art to place it on. And then let me show you the colors I'm gonna use right now. So I've got, what is this? This is called Titanium Crudo. So it's kind of like a warm cream color. And I'm also gonna use, so this one is Liquitex. Some of them are Liquitex and some of them are Master's Touch. I've got a Naples yellow, I've got gold, I've got, it's called Yellow Deep. And then I'm also using a pearlized white. I'm also gonna use some of this soft body acrylic, and I've got it in white and in black. And the nice thing about these is that it has this great pointy tip, so you can do designs with it very easily. So that's great. I'll be using this paper to wipe off my brayer, and I'm using a speedball brayer. So I'm brand new to this. This is my 6th week of doing art. I've never done any watercolor or this kind of art ever before. So you're along with me on this adventure. We'll see what happens. All right, let's start. I'm gonna move this back so you can see things a little better. We're gonna start by placing just little amounts of the paint in just, I don't know, I'm just gonna be spontaneous here and see what happens. I think what I want to do is I want to add just a little block of this over here and this over here, just for some contrast. And I'm not going to blend them too much. Yeah, let's just see what happens. Like that texture too. Okay, let's get some paper on here. This tool too. I love this, and I will link this below. It is made by Catalyst, and it's a great art wedge, especially good for when you're doing printmaking and also collage paper and you want to get the glue to stay down. I love that. Okay, let's just see what happens. Ooh. Oh, so pretty. So pretty. I love that. Okay, we're gonna hang on to that. And I just want to do a little shout out and thank you to Froyle, who has a great YouTube channel. I think she's from New Zealand. And this is where I got the inspiration for these colors and just some of this, being able to do this right here, mark making using that Liquitex. Off camera, I spent a couple days making several different types of papers, including doing things on tissue paper and using some other colors like just gold and white or just black and white. So I have a basket here of all of my papers that I've made, and there's a ton of them. And it can be overwhelming trying to narrow down what to use. Okay, so I went through all of my prints that I made, and I picked out my favorite ones. And let me just show you what I've got going on here. So Hobby Lobby had this sale on matted and framed pictures. So I bought this one, but I took it apart, and I was able to get this for 50% off, and I'm going to save a bunch of money by not having to go get it framed professionally. And so then what I've been doing is I've been taking each piece and hand tearing around the borders. And I just sort of did a layout to see a rough outline of what might work. And so I'm just kind of playing around with that right now. So see how I'm kind of arranging this here. Here, let me get this. Just kind of playing with things, seeing what might work. So that's just a start. I wanted to say that these circles that you see, I learned from Catherine Rains how to just take a pretty rough, scrappy brush and make those circles very quickly, and it makes those cool kind of zen lines. And maybe you can see if you look up close that I took a brush and got it very wet and dipped it in some paint and then splatted some splatters around the circles. And see, I just very carefully hand tear around the borders like this. And then I can just arrange things and see what looks good. Okay, now that I've got everything laid out the way I want it to be, I'm going to use both matte medium by Liquitex and also gel medium. And use gel medium for heavier papers and matte medium for the lighter, like the ones like on tissue paper and just lighter weight papers. So I have two kind of scrubby paintbrushes that I don't care about them becoming the standard paintbrushes that I use for pasting things on. So you don't obviously want to use expensive ones. You can, like I got these at a garage sale. And then I make sure to put them into water immediately after I use them or in between using them so that they don't get too stiff. Now, the first thing you want to do is you want to glue down the very bottom layers. So the things that are on top of other things, you're going to remove them and just work in the layers from the bottom up. And this wedge is a great tool for this, to smooth it out. The air bubbles out. So all the way through the process, I'm in the moment, just being spontaneous and intuitive and just seeing what comes next and making decisions in the moment. And I think the key to doing art for healing and joy is to move pretty quickly and not think too much about it. Staying loose and relaxed and in the enjoyment, joy zone. I just give myself full permission to just play and have fun and not worry about it. And this is what permissive intuitive art is all about. So you can see how much I love to use that Wedge scrapey tool, and also how important it is to use, whether you're using the matte medium or matte gel, both on the underside as you're pasting it down, but also to use it on the top side as well to make sure that any little edges are glued down and in place. And I'm using a matte finish as opposed to a glossy finish with the matte medium and the matte gel. Okay, so things got a little rough down here. I had to pull something that was already glued down off, so it made a little bit of funkiness down here, and it pulled up some of the paint here. So I'm just gonna fix that right now by taking some gold and a rough brush. I'm gonna just add a little touch here. So did you see how I took a little pause right there, and I'm just thinking about, do I want to add more or not? Yeah, that's great. And then I don't, because I don't want to overdo it. Instead, I make a quick decision. So I've got a really wet brush with a saturated amount of gold, and that splatters very easily by just doing what I did. Okay, so right here I took tissue paper and then I used Liquitex modeling paste, and I'm using this with stencils and a palette knife, and this creates a really lovely texture to add to collages. I learned this from a wonderful artist named Catherine Rains. I love it. It makes for a really lovely finishing touch. Just a few pointers. So immediately after you're done using your pad, your jelly pad, just go to the sink and wash it with warm and soapy water. And I use a Norwex microfiber cloth as well, which really makes a difference. And I think it's just smart to clean up every time you use it so that the paint doesn't get crusty and build up. And the same thing goes with your brayer. And even just use your cloth to get into the nooks and crannies so that things don't get too crusty along the way. And then I wanted to show you that when you go to store it, what you want to do is use just a piece of paper on either side. So I'm just using copy paper. That keeps it from having bumps and lumps and little air bubbles. Ta-da! And here it is. And this is how it looks once I put the frame back together and hung it on my wall. I will have some of the things I used linked for you below, and I want to encourage you to go over to my website, www.robinrandolph.com, and subscribe at the top and get my complete list of my top favorite go-to art supplies for art for healing and joy. If you've enjoyed this video, could I ask you to give it a like, and you might want to consider subscribing if you haven't already, and hit that notification bell so you know every time I post a new video. Thanks so much for watching.